Welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are navigating the crazy world of authorship. Whether you're just starting out or already established, we want to help you navigate the publishing world with confidence. My name is Larissa Soehn, and this channel is brought to you by Next Page Publishing. With the help of our industry partners, we bring you the insights on the most challenging, yet most rewarding parts of being an authorpreneur, along with the actionable tips to help you move your brand and your business forward. Don't forget to download your free copy of our book, Author Your Way to Your Next 100K, by visiting nextpagepublishing.net/author your way. Let's meet our next guest. And we are back with another episode of I Wrote That. My name is Larissa Soehn. I'm your host and the CEO of Next Page Publishing, where we help entrepreneurs write books. And this is going to be a very fly by the seat of your pants interview, because today I have Amy Vogel, who is a coach inside of Next Page Publishing and who has helped me build this company from what it was to what it is today. Her fiction book gives readers a new vision of what it means to be a woman, and her nonfiction book gives readers practices to heal and find hope. Amy, can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, so I write feminine empowerment fiction, and I write spiritual devotionals that help people grow and learn and heal. And I'm here to build community. I'm here to build connection, and I'm here really to tell women's stories. That's what it comes down to. And I get to do that in a new way that I never anticipated in 2024. At the end, a year ago, I never anticipated I would be part of a company that more or less exclusively tells women's stories. So this has been a super transformative, huge year for me.
And I think it's really important to note that having you back on this podcast is like a milestone for Next Page Publishing, because this is where your and I's relationship started, was with a podcast interview. And at the end of it, we still don't know our origin story. I don't know how you got booked on the podcast. I don't know how it got to what it is. But at the end of the day, it was like, do you want to work together? Like, do you want to be partners in crime? Do you want to make this thing happen? Do you want to make dreams come true? And thank goodness you said yes, because everything we've done has, in part been to you, to you even just being the sounding board for all my crazy ideas, for the times that I send you a message and be like, guess what? Or what do you think of this? And so to have you back on this show to talk about what is happening in the landscape of publishing, it just feels like kismet. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And thank you for just the opportunity. This was the coaching piece was on my vision board, and I dabbled a little bit in there. And this just took me to a whole other level as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, as an author. It's just been incredible, and had no clue how I was ever going to get a sale, how I was ever going to do this. But then, you were like, you have a background in sales. I'm like, yeah.
The vision of Next Page Publishing was always to practice what we preach, for one thing, to never stop writing, and to never be so removed that we don't know what our authors are feeling and what they're going through while they're writing. And when they're, that 1 week, you just went through a launch too, that 1 week before a book comes out, the roller coaster that is that, and then the ups and downs of after it comes out. I never wanted me or my team to lose touch with that feeling. And you're in the process of writing another book right now. You were texting me this morning about it. So, I mean, what is it like, honestly, to be both an author and a coach?
Well, I'd like to say that one or the other is easier, but they're intertwined. Coaching is easier in the sense that I don't have to create it, but I do have to read it. I do have to write it. I do have to show up and be present with my clients. That's really the key of it for me, is that I have to show up, and I don't have to show up as, have my A game every time. In fact, I think that's what makes me a good coach, is the fact that, I show up as I am, and something happens, and show up as a relatable person. And I do that in our discovery calls too. But I think, as an author, being a coach has definitely improved my craft significantly. It's that intermingling of the two talents of helping other people create, but also still creating myself. And as my coach, my business coach, will tell me often, is I've had a really big year on both sides, as a coach and as an author. I've been a part of 3 books. 2 of them I created myself, wrote from scratch. So every time I start stumbling over myself as far as what's next, or even this morning as I was beginning the process of writing, I've dabbled in this book before, but now I'm really committed to writing it, getting the first draft done by summer. It's hard. It's like the gears are a little rusty. They need grease and they need that discipline of it, which is what I coach people to do. So it's like definitely putting my money where my mouth is, and remembering that this is all a process, and that what you write and when you write it is for now, it's for later. So it's such an interesting niche to be a part of, and just an industry that is still male dominated, but yet we're changing that narrative because 67% of published authors are women. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, 67% of self-published women, if I didn't say that.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, I love that conversation of in the traditional world. There was a story, and this is a couple of years old, so it's not 100% relevant anymore, but it's still worth mentioning because it's still happening. A female author was pitching her book to traditional publishers under her own name and could not get anything, and she pitched it as under a male name, and she got a contract
yeah,
with someone she
absolutely.
had previously pitched.
Hmm. Yeah,
Ugh, gross.
right. Just today, I saw a TikTok where the woman she's been published by a big five publisher couldn't get her hometown newspaper to review her book because it's in the romance genre,
Mhm.
which is the most profitable genre. It's the biggest moneymaker. And women write romance. Women
Yeah.
read romance. So, it's
Women read
just
romance. Yes.
so
It's
interesting.
fascinating. And that's going to be the topic of this podcast is what is happening in the publishing world. But I want to talk a little bit about what our publishing style is and our
Mhm.
coaching style particularly because publishing is to use your gears analogy, it's a cog in a system. You got to go through the steps and it kind of
Mhm.
looks the same for every author. But the coaching is where you and I get to really connect with that author and we really get
Yeah.
to dig into who they are and what their goals are as a brand and as a business and as a person. And I would say you and I are very intuitive coaches to that point of like we come and we show up as we are is because that's what the moment is going to call for and we're going to tap into what
Mhm.
that author needs right then and there to get them through whatever it is that they're going through.
Yep.
And in my history with group coaching programs, I've always been weary that group coaching, it doesn't meet the author where they're at. And then we're
Mhm.
playing with something in 2025. We're running a beta to introduce a group program, but I will never give up that element that makes you and I sparkle of how do we meet the author where they are and how do we
Yeah.
get them through one-on-one. So I know you're working with someone right now who I believe she and I, spicy brains, have spicy brains. We've got autism, and a lot of our clients also
Well,
have ADHD.
yeah. Mm.
How, in your opinion, I have my own, but how does this one-on-one coaching model help people who are struggling with what society has not so lovingly called spicy brain syndrome?
Right. Right. It's interesting. I actually have found that the opportunity to work with a neurospicy, and I'm also in relationships. I have children who are neurospicy. I'm the when you have a high performing racehorse, they often have companion animals that like calm them down. And I always say I'm like the companion horse or the dog or the cat or whatever. Just like let me y'all run at such a high level. Let's just and the challenges are definitely different. So if you have somebody, I have at least one client now with ADHD, I have to be more intentional about setting structure for her. I have to, because we will get on the call and she will tell me, I don't know where to start. We had a call last week and she said, I don't know where to start. And I was like, okay, let's go back to what we about last time. Do this, this, and this. And then she was getting stuck on the idea of, the linear progression of the book. And I said, okay, what if you don't start from the beginning? You start from the end and you start your rewrites from the end and you work backwards. So you know where you're going. And so it's engaging that creative muscle in a different way. Working with somebody who has autism, I have to bring her out of that structure because she is so controlled. And in fact, our conversations up to this point was your book reads like a textbook. It's incredibly informational. It's incredibly important information. Your process is amazing. But when you're trying to write a book for a reader, it has to be engaging. It has to tell a story. It can't just be cut and dry and simple. And so working with those two, and I won't even say two because it's literally a spectrum. but it lends itself to being extremely creative for me as a coach. And again, I just have to show up and be open and let what happens happens. And I think the most important thing I do as a coach is allow people the space to process and just show up as they are without the typical coaching quote unquote hacks where you just make them feel positive and you make them feel good. And I mean, I've had, I think 80% of my clients up to this point cry during our sessions because they're just safe. They're okay. And that's part of the creative process is you get to feel all of your feelings. And then once you do that, you can take a deep breath and you can move forward. So I don't know if that is my background or just who I am as a person, but I just love the ability to be creative even in the coaching aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. And I would never brand us as like, specialists in the ADHD or autism coaching space because we're not. But I think your experience as as you put it, I love it, the racehorse support animal, and my experience as the racehorse lends us really, really well as a team to get our
Mhm.
authors from blank page to finished manuscript. And that's what I love about that coaching relationship. And that's why I was so hesitant to go to a group because I was scared we're going to lose that. But I think in 2025, we have the plan to still meet people where they're at, but move them along with that group mentality, that group think, that group
Yeah.
energy of like, oh, we're all doing great things together and we're energetic, and that extra accountability, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So thank you for that. Okay, let's
Absolutely.
talk about publishing because a lot has changed even in 2024 and going into 2025. I know that Next Page Publishing is doing some things to make us stay at the foreground and to really bring us up as the name in business books. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're good at, and that's what we're going to help you do as the entrepreneur. But from what you're seeing, Amy, what's like a notable thing you're like, huh, look at what that's doing.
Oh man. Well, I'm on social media a lot more than you are, and the trends I'm noticing is the trend for collaboration. And this is something that speaks exactly to who I am and something that I cultivate and work with authors. And I had a viral video on TikTok go. I mean, I had a video go viral on TikTok because I just got on there after 15 minutes of searching this hashtag and saw that there were so many independent authors who were just discouraged. They're like, I don't even know if this is worth it anymore. I put all this effort into it. And I was like, let me pump you. I actually said it. I said, let me pump you the hell up. So schedule a free 30-minute call with me and we'll talk. And I've had about 5 calls now with authors who just need somebody that would talk to them and give them some ideas. And so I think that opportunity to be collaborative, to also have the boundaries to say, this is also what I do for a living. So if you want to go farther, you pay me as a coach. Women need to get better at that anyway. But just the idea that being an author is no longer this solitary journey. Yes, you have your cover designer. Yes, you have your editor, but it becomes this web, this connectional web of people. And before, that was strictly in the traditional houses. That's what they provided. That was the benefit. But I think now with self-publishing and independent publishing becoming, I don't actually know, you might know the actual percentage of the industry that it is. I mean, it's still pretty much traditional dominated, but it's growing very, very rapidly. And that idea of coming together it's just really it's gathering steam. It's the grassroots of it, thanks to social media, is really helping it quite a bit, and it's becoming really, really powerful.
Yeah, and that I think is a really good topic to hit on because last I checked, self-publishing and independent publishing was outranking traditional publishing by a lot in just numbers, not in income, not in revenue, things like
Right.
that, but in numbers of books being published, self-publishing and independent publishing were outnumbering. But
Mhm.
readers are not reading more self-published and
Yep.
independently published books. That's not how that trend is not tracking. And I think a big
Hmm.
part of that is because readers, and myself included, I've read a number of self-published books where I'm like, ooh, like my heart hurts because I get what this author is trying to do, but I also see where they could not do it all the way on their own. They got to first draft and couldn't take it any farther, which
Mhm.
you and I both know is exactly what an author is supposed to do. We're
Yep.
not supposed to be able to take it through all of the drafts to finalization on
Hmm.
our own. Otherwise,
Right.
traditional publishing wouldn't exist
Right.
and readers wouldn't read books. So I agree with what you're saying. I think that's where companies like Next Page Publishing come in, is to allow the
Hmm.
author to continue to be independently published, to continue to have the rights, the power, the control, and the say over their content with the validity of a publishing house behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, to me, the brilliance of hybrid. I mean, I think we are on the cusp, not that we're the only hybrid publisher that exists, but I've spoken to other hybrid publishers, especially last year when I was looking at resources for what ended up being my first self-published book. I now have four, but which is also insane. uh, and in talking to a couple of different people that are in that hybrid world, it's just one of those things where it's hard to be a one-man band. And so you've got to have a company that is set up with a process. Um, and you've got to have somebody who absolutely knows what they're doing, loves what they're doing. And I think the hybrid space is really one, it can be the most uplifting thing. I mean, if you sign with Next Page, that's what you're going to get. But you also have vanity publishers and you have people who are unscrupulous and will not do what they say they're going to do. That happens in every industry. But when authors get into things, they just don't. They're like babies. They don't know. And I mean, I've done some research, and the information on, I don't want to say the danger of vanity publishers, but just like the difference, there's just not a lot of information out there. It's traditional or it's independent self. And so that hybrid is that hybrid model we have, especially with the services we offer, is just so critical. And I think that is probably where the biggest space for growth is going to be, is the services to the author, in not in-house, but still available, kind of sort of in-house, partner-like.
And that's the word I would use. It's partner like. And I've done a number of events and lives and things on the difference between us as a hybrid and a vanity press. And it always comes down to like, what's the first thing we do with our authors when they come into our program?
We goal set with them.
Yes, we goal set with them. You did
Yes,
it. Yay.
I did.
Because
I know the process.
it's so important to know what your author's goals are before they start
Yeah.
writing. And Vanity Press, I can guarantee you won't ask you that question. One,
No.
because most of the time you're coming to them when the book is ready to publish. That's a Vanity Press. They
Yep.
don't help you with the writing and the coaching and all of that jazz because
Yeah.
they don't care at the end of the day. They don't care what your goals are. They don't care what you want to do. They don't care that you cried yourself to sleep while writing this book every night for 6 months. And that's the first thing you do in our discovery calls, in our one-on-one programs, in our group programs that are coming. We talk about goals because that's the only way we can partner with you, is we know what we're working towards.
Right. Well, that was I think the existential crisis I was having this morning when I was writing, especially because I'm writing a fiction book in my mind. And, I've been, immersed in our process for the last almost year. And I'm like, what is the goal of this book? What is it? But that idea, and I've spoken on it a couple of times, and I know you have too, is like the idea of redefining the success of a book is critical, because royalties are not going to do it. Books sold are not going to do it. I'm living that right now. I mean, we've talked about my ROI for my book that brought me into Next Page, which was a fiction book. That maybe that's how I found you. I don't know. But, just looking for podcasts that I could be on to promote my book. And really the traditional goal, not just in traditional publishing, but in the industry worldwide, is number of books sold, royalties that you've made. And that, as an independent self-published author, that's going to kill you every time.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much competition, but I don't think you have to look at it that way. I think you have to look at it, and this is really where my mind shift has changed over the last year, is that and I still struggle with it. Like, how am I going to define the success of this book? Not that the royalties can't come with it, not that the book sales can't come with it. We're not leaving anything on the table. It's just, how do we start with what really is going to bring you the most joy, bring you the most revenue? It doesn't have to be. I mean, coaching is how I'm paying for all my books. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, we've really got to do a mind shift as a whole, as authors, as to why we're doing and what we're doing in the process.
And I think for entrepreneurs, that's where we have the biggest sway. I'm working
Mhm.
on my newest nonfiction book, Author Your Way to Your
Yeah.
Next 100K. And that's the entire book is talking, wow, 60%. I even had this number in there. 60% is talking about marketing because that's in your first
Yep.
year, 60% of the journey is marketing and the other 40% is
Yep.
writing. And then once your book is published, it's 100% marketing.
Yep.
And as entrepreneurs, it really does not come down to the book sales. It comes down to the conversation. It comes down to the conversion. It comes down to the invitation, the joint ventures, the relationships, all of that. And none of that has anything to do with book sales.
Right.
And that's what I love about the niche that we're in is that we are not limited by royalties. We're
Mhm.
not stuck on
Yep.
Amazon. We're not limited by, the number of reviews we've got. We can think so much bigger,
Yep.
which again is that racehorse spicy brain is like, let me go. Watch me. Just watch me.
Right.
Watch what
Right.
we can do. And I love that for us. And I love that for our authors that we get to think collaboratively again because we know their goals. Are you hoping 2025 will be the year you write your brand-centered book? Or maybe you have a business book that isn't doing what you want? No matter where you are on your entrepreneur journey, we have the secret to your success, and we're going to give it to you for free. In our new book, Author Your Way to Your Next 100K, we share with you the formula and tools to guarantee your business book is a success. Within the pages of Author Your Way to Your Next 100K, you will learn from the expertise of a nonfiction publisher and the real-life examples of authors who have seen incredible success using our proven strategies. We're also going to give you access to our workbook, where you can tangibly assess where in your business a book can make the biggest impact for you. This book and the companion workbook are specifically built to help entrepreneurs like you write and sell a book that converts readers into clients with the power of artful invitation and deliberate storytelling. At Next Page Publishing, we believe in helping you achieve massive returns on your investments. Your time, energy, skill, and experiences are valuable, and you deserve to create a tool that matches your worth. This book is our gift to you. Visit nextpagepublishing.net/authoryourway to access your free copy today.
So my next nonfiction book that I'm going to be co-authoring, that's the conversation we're going to have straight from the get-go, is what are our goals with this book? We started working on this at the beginning of 2024. Let's restart. What truly are our goals? What are you hoping to get out of this? What is your dream? And using that process with her. But I want to, my big vision, my big dream is how can we do that for fiction authors too? What can this book do for you besides just be a pretty story that you wrote and got bound and put on Amazon and people can buy it? Books are more, stories are more than just the physical copies or what's on your Kindle or your e-reader. Stories are legacy. So how do we do that for fiction too? I don't know yet. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out, right? That's the conversation that you and I keep circling back to is how do we make this more inclusive? I want to point out one more thing that just popped into my head about the difference between hybrid and vanity. And honestly, this has never occurred to me before, but you and I have talked so much about the reader. And we talk so much about how this book is going to not only find the reader, but what it's going to do for the reader, what they're going to get out of it. Who is the reader? What are they facing their challenges? And I think as a hybrid press, we are just as responsible for the author's journey as we are for the reader's journey. And we think holistically. I mean, you and I have talked about starting readers groups, and you have a readers group started. And I think Vanity Press, they don't care. They just want to help. They just want to get that book out for the author, and then the author is on their own. But Next Page Publishing, what's week 2 of our program, Amy?
Ideal reader.
The ideal reader, because we do goals and then we do ideal reader. But our programs are so beautifully set up to think holistically, because at the end of the day, a book is not a one-person party.
Well, and that's a conversation I have at least so far 5 or 6 times in a coaching session, a coaching relationship that lasts 5 months, is you get to a point where in chapter 4, your book has to make the turn. It can't just be about you. You can't just write this for you. The whole idea of transformation needs to happen. Like, what is that shift? And so it's really coming back to that. The reader has skin in this game too.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to keep that in mind. And, I've even developed a visualization meditation technique on literally what does she look like? What's her name? What, just like going forward, who is picking up this book? Because so many authors, so many of our clients will start out by saying, well, she's me. Yes, but she's not you
But she's
because
not.
you've already been on the journey. You're on the other end of it. So who is she?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the question I'm going to be answering for my fiction book too. Is
Yeah.
like, who is reading this, and what is this book going to do for them?
And it's funny, I just spent the last week in Costa Rica, and my goal was to work on author your way to your next 100K. And I had to stop 2 days at the end of my vacation. I had to stop writing because I lost sight of that who.
Mhm.
I lost sight of what I was doing. Again, blame the ADHD because I was all over the freaking map. And I was like, I don't know what am I working towards here? And I went back to grassroots of our program, and I spent the last 2 days answering the who, how, what, why, where, and when. That's the
Yep.
fundamentals of the book. The first one is who, and the second was
Yep.
what am I trying to do here? What
Hmm.
is the goal for me, for the reader, for the
Yep.
business? Because again, I want to stay tied into what we're preaching, right?
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
trying to help entrepreneurs do this. So I have to stay connected to what is that purpose that we're working
Yeah.
towards.
Well, and we, in our process as part of Ideal Reader, you've got that circle, right? There's them, there's I think it's what, and then on the other, so on the north it's them, on the west it's
It,
how.
how, yeah, it goes them, how, you, and why.
Yes, but the direct connection is you and them. Like
Mhm.
those are the two poles, the North Pole and the South Pole. And so everything else needs to fill in that circle. And it's really, really critical to doing that, not just as you're writing a book for business, but just writing a story in general. Yes, you want to tell your story. That is the motivation that so many of our clients get into this for. But telling your story is going to be cost prohibitive when you hear about how much it costs to work with us because we are exclusive in what we do. However, when you see the vision, when you think about you're not writing this for you, you're writing this for your ideal reader, you're writing this for the person that you're going to be, the woman you're going to be in a year when you go through this process, those dollars and cents fall away
Mhm.
because it's a powerful journey to tell a well-crafted story that makes an impact on people's lives. I can sit here and tell you my story all day long, but if there are no intersectional points for you in it, I mean, you have ADHD. I probably have about 10 seconds.
Honestly, I was looking at the clock going, man, I'm getting tired as you were talking. But that's an excellent point because in a book, I mean, they're going to sit with you for a couple of hours, regardless of, hopefully they've committed, but you have to keep them wanting to turn the page. And
Absolutely.
readers and humans, we are inherently selfish. We
Yeah.
want to know what's in it for us as the
Yeah.
reader, as the consumer. Otherwise, I'm not going to invest my time. I need to know you're either going to entertain me, you're going to make me laugh, you're going to make me cry, you're going to help me improve. And if you can do all four of those things in a book, oh, you've got a lifelong, you know, fan. I think
Yeah.
of books like Gabby Bernstein and things like that, where
Mhm.
she artfully mixes in storytelling with action building for her reader, and it's this
Yeah.
beautiful symphony. And she has an entire multi-million-dollar brand around her and her
Mhm.
books and what she does for people.
Yeah.
And that's the type of book we write over here.
Yeah.
Okay, Amy, at the top of the hour, because I knew we would have so much to talk about. What is your favorite piece of advice for aspiring authors?
It used to be just start. Now it's different. That's what it was a year ago. Now it's get a partner,
Mhm.
get somebody that can help you, whether that's a coach, whether that's a just really, really talented editor, whether that's a beta team, an ARC team. You need people on your team. You need people in your corner. This is hard enough journey because your family and friends don't understand it. Just make some friends on social media, but don't do it alone.
Yeah. And I'm gonna add to that. I normally I let the guest, but you're my guest and you're my team member. So I'm gonna add to that. My piece of advice is think bigger. I think a
Mhm.
lot to your point of like, is it worth investing in a coach if your only goal is to leave a legacy item? Are you really going to put down the money that it requires to work with someone like us? And the chances are no.
Right.
But book call with Amy, right? We're going to put those links down and Amy's going to in the show notes, and we're going to talk about what that process looks like. But let us help you dream bigger. Let us help you see how this book can be more than a legacy. Like if it is the center of your brand, let us help you map out what that looks like, because a book is your marketing plan for the next 5 to 10 years. And if
Yeah.
you can't see it like that, let us help you.
Absolutely. And there's still only 1 to 2% of the population that can actually say they're published authors.
Yeah.
So it's still as exclusive as, say, being a doctor.
Yeah. And if you put it at did you say being a
Doctor.
Oh, I thought you said it's exclusive as being a duck. And I was like,
It's
okay,
even more exclusive, Larissa. That's a very exclusive club.
that's a very special box to put yourself in. So we've got racehorses, we've got support animals, and we've got ducks. So welcome to Next Page Publishing, where we make synchronicities look weird. Amy, I want to thank you for everything you've done for this business and for our clients. I know we are seeing huge results for everybody that comes through here. And the best feedback we get is for our coaches and for our editors, that they are the ones that made this process possible for dozens of people in the last year. And that cannot happen without people like you.
Hey, thanks. Or you, because you're my dev editor. So
yeah, that's right. And that's the thing too. If Amy's your coach, I'm your dev editor, and vice versa, because we know we're not the same. For one thing, we know we have different points of view, and we know we make a really good team because of it. And so to Amy's point, find your people. And sometimes it is more than one people. It is a team that makes it the best. And if this book is going to be the center of your brand, then find a team, because they are the ones that are going to think holistically. They're the ones that are going to help you dream and plan big so that this book can actually do what you want to do. Thank you very much, Amy. Thanks for tuning in to I Wrote That. Don't forget to download your free copy of Author Your Way to kickstart your journey as an entrepreneur. You'll find the link in today's show notes. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love for you to leave us a review. It helps more listeners like you discover the show. Until next time, happy writing.